All right, we're going to go into one of my favorite topics, and a question that I always had when I was younger is how much or what should I do with my knee flex in the backswing in relation to my pelvis? I think what's really important is how these two pieces right here work in harmony. The direction that the knees work in relation to how much the pelvis works, and also the tilting and the inclination that we need to get it on. I think what I see out of a lot of us, and if this is you, this video is for you, is we'll see right here, we'll see the player never moves their pelvis, and all they do is flex and straighten the leg. And then from there, from a face-on view, that's going to have a big effect on what we do from a rotation standpoint. A lot of times it doesn't allow for as much thoracic or rib cage turn, the shoulder turn, and these can be the player like who hits kind of these crazy knee shots and hits these pull fades like that because they don't get as much turn. So what we're going to go into here is we're going to cover proper amount of movement in the knees, how we would get ourselves on an incline, and how these two pieces right here work together, plus a great drill for you to be able to work on this. All right, so what I've got right here is I've got an alignment stick in my belt, and I have an antenna here to represent my knees. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to go face on. You can see this from both face on and down the line. So what I see out of a lot of players, if I extend this antenna out, so this is a representation of my knees. This is a representation of my pelvis right here. What I see out of a lot of people is they look like this. So we can see there's very limited hip rotation here. And all we've done is just straighten the trail leg and bend the lead knee because we think that we need to get the right leg straight and higher, which we do, but we need to do these pieces. This is a skill to do this in harmony together. So when we look at this, yes, the lead knee is going to be flexing as the lead hip's going out. The trail leg is going to be straightening, but as we're doing that, you can see how my pelvis is working in unison with my knees. So these are basically now from a down the line perspective, these are in a straight line. So the flex from my lead knee and the extension from my trail leg is what is creating both this incline, but getting these two pieces right here to work together. Now, again, for all of you that are out there just trying to do things with the knees don't always necessarily move the center of the pelvis. So we need a little bit of rotation from the hips right here to match up the extension of the trail leg and the flexion of the lead leg, okay, to get these more on a functional plane. Now, I think from in here, once we get these back to square, so we can see how these are back to square, and you can see how my right knee is staying in. I think one of the things that is absolutely plaguing golf and plaguing the world right now is flexing the trail leg to where the hips actually start to come underneath us, because now our rotation stops and all we do is stand up and throw. So if you've got a setup like this, all I've got is a strap, an antenna, and I've got an alignment stick through my belt. Do a rehearsal like this, trying to keep the head the same height and work this lead side and this trail side in unison. And from a down the line view, you would see how these lines are matching, and you can also see how my trail side is higher than my lead side as I finish my turn. This would be a really great way to just practice and gain a feel for how the knees and how the hips work together to be able to create some unison so that we have some structure here in our backswing. So we're going to go into one of my absolute favorite drills next. All right, here's my drill that I think we can combine how the knees and how the legs work, both in the backswing and in the downswing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this strap and this antenna on, and this is going to relate my trail leg movements to my lead, okay? So if I came in here, like I was saying earlier, what I really like about this drill is it helps me work on an area that I think is plaguing golf, which is players flexing their hip and their knee underneath them and getting their arms trapped behind to where they have to either choose one of these directions. It's not saying that there aren't players that can't do this. but I think for the majority of us, if we could get better at keeping the spine's inclination, I think we have a better chance of reproducing a more constant arc, okay? So from right in here, I've got this. This is resting on my trail leg. So once I get up to the top here, I'm okay if the knees work back into our initial inclination that we were in right here at setup. I'm great with that. But from in here, we need to see this trail leg and this trail knee and this trail hip rotate in and towards the target so that I can still keep pressure here in my hip. And I also have the ability to maintain my spine inclination. So I would do this as a drill right here. My goal is going to be to actually feel like my trail leg, you can see I've got a little bit of space, is going to work inside of this line, especially on the downswing. So the way that I would word this, knees and pelvis together on the way back so that we maintain our height. And then we're going to feel trail leg in. So I'd go in here, set up, one more rehearsal, knees and hips together, trail leg in, and then I'd let it go. And I can feel how much more I've worked that trail hip in because I didn't run into the stick there on the downswing. So let's do that one more time. So I'm going to feel this once, set up, knees and hips together on the way back, trail leg in, and then I'll let it go. And that right there was absolutely perfect. So this is a great way to drill this. Give it a go. Take a strap, wrap it around the knee. You can put an antenna or an alignment stick in there, rest it against the trail leg. Stay inside of that on the downswing. Work the hips and the knees together in the backswing. Most common flaws that I see out of the knees and the hips in the backswing, I think by far, in large, my number one is that I see players overflex the lead knee and they straighten the trail leg far too early. So you can see how far my shins worked back, and you can see how far from this starting point, you can see how much my lead knee has worked forward. What this does is the amount of flex and straightening and tilt that we've created, you can see what my head's done. This lowers the head too much, that brings too much of the ground into play, or it ends up turning into stand up that we have to now time. We have to time a lot of up and down. And I think the benefit that we miss out on is we don't create enough rotation. We don't create enough depth. The golf club doesn't stay on the arc. That makes it really difficult to time out the golf club meeting the ball at impact. That right there is by far my most common theme that I see. Common theme number two, I see players trying to keep this trail leg into too much flex, We run into the same problem. It's not that I can't push off of this, because I can, but a lot of times what this does is this puts a lot of pressure on the spine, okay? And as well, we see the player get shorter, and we usually end up playing this game of up, down, and throw. We don't really have a golf swing that works very well geometrically. Generally speaking, not saying everybody. So those would be my two common flaws. So if we can learn how to move the knees and the pelvis together, use this as a relationship, the stick on the knees, the stick on the pelvis, make sure they're in the same line so that we're not just flexing the knees backwards and forwards without any pelvic rotation. And then from there, using that drill to keep this trail leg working in so that we can also stay in posture, and we can hopefully, we're on our way to hitting better shots just like this. So let me know if you have any questions. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for your support. We'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this video here. If you haven't, please click that subscribe button. You can also click the bell right there, and that's going to notify you every time that I release a new YouTube video. Also, if you haven't, check out that last video that I did. It's right here, pinned to the screen. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave those below, and I will make sure I get back to each and every one of you. So, thank you again. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.